G-thoughtz.
Wherefore art thou? Wherefore art thou?
So let's play a game. And I'm going to say in advance, leave your offense at the door, or your offense, or your defense, whichever. Just leave it all at the door. Open up your mind with what I'm about to do. Because if you can't get through a scenario like what I'm about to demonstrate, then it truly is three fingers pointing back. I'll leave it at that. So let's say you live in a neighborhood, however many homes, whatever. Some people need a number. Let's say there's, 200 homes. One long road. It's all interconnected. Make it whatever you want. They're on both sides of the neighborhood. You could make them huts, whatever you want. Just don't make them mansions. If you lived through the 60s, or you are living in a house or have seen a house built in the 60s and 70s where they had to build a bunch of them because of the baby boom, I'm thinking of that type of a neighborhood. It's kind of what I grew up in. All the houses are pretty close together, and they're pretty homogeneous looking. On one side were raised ranches, on the other side were just ranches. We lived in a ranch. And they all had their own characteristic. And our neighborhood was pretty diverse, whatever that means. There was lots of colors, lots of sounds, and lots of beautiful smells. And plenty of textures too, but I'll move on. And it was a pretty harmonious neighborhood. Shit used to happen. That's life. But all of us kids bound together by a magical thread. The neighborhood, the road. We would always meet on the road. And that was a vibrant, beautiful, fully active world of its own on the street. And sometimes it would carry behind someone's backyard and out back to the street, and cars would come and we'd have to stop. Someone was always lookout on either side. You always need somebody to look out, right? And occasionally someone's mom would call them home and they had the football or the soccer ball. It would be the same thing depending on which country you were from. I'll move on. And then all of a sudden, somebody moved into the neighborhood. And let me say, our neighborhood had trees everywhere. It's beautiful. It was lower middle class. At the time, it was probably middle class. Who the fuck knows whatever that means. It was all class, baby. And essentially, let's just say this one family moved in. And they started changing things up. They did nothing. They're nice to you, for the most part. They didn't do anything to your house or your yard, as small as it may be. The house or the yard, well, one can't be smaller than the other. Move on. And essentially, they started cutting down the trees. They knocked down the house and built a skyscraper with towers and electronics and lights on all night, and all sorts of cars coming in and out of it, and a helicopter thing at the top. You're like, this is ridiculous. Play along. They started playing certain music. You add the music. We love music in our neighborhood, but you got to be, sensitive to the kids and to the animals. Oh yeah, they had animals, but they didn't treat them very well. They ate them. And they used the wood to burn it. They started burning all sorts of shit. Blah, blah, blah. You get the picture? And then all of a sudden they started, trying to convince others that their abode would be more of value or more valued. Trump, please clean that up. But I won't account for the lack of knowledge that some people have when it comes to real estate. That if you're the biggest building in the block, well then, you've got something that no one else has. What if all of a sudden someone else said, fuck him, I'm going to build even bigger. Boom, up goes another skyscraper, even taller and sleeker. Now the neighborhood's like, what the fuck? What's going on here? Next thing you know, you've got homes in between skyscrapers. You've got a different neighborhood. And while things don't feel the same way, the sun doesn't shine the same way, the animals kind of started going away. You don't know what you're smelling as far as food, but it's different. Interesting, but should it last that long on the counter? And then all of a sudden, they're playing these things called movies and these songs. And boy, they're saying things and showing things that are a little bit fucked up. And yeah, we don't use those words because Mom said not to. And so did Dad, even though he uses them. We'll leave that aside. And there's a lot of things that the dads did, including work. They busted their ass. How many pickup trucks do I remember in the neighborhood? Plumbing trucks, construction vehicles, everything. Feels like everyone was always working on their car. Occasionally you take it to the body shop or to the place that also had a gas station with it. No, it wasn't very convenient. You still had to wait, but they had some drinks here and there. And down the street was a supermarket, an IGA. Very small. Had some food. That's what they do. That was convenient. We'd go down there with our bikes, get a gallon of milk. Yeah, cross traffic. It wasn't too bad. They knew who we were. They would slow down. Until, well, the traffic got worse. And so forth and so forth. You get the picture? Now let's bring that to present day and make it the world. And you're a Muslim or a Hindu or you're atheist, but you respect nature. And you're seeing a particular country, the one that started it in the neighborhood, or at least stakes claim to that, messing with your turf. What do, my friends? You can't leave this neighborhood because many people ended up leaving the neighborhood when, well, they started making more money. It was the 80s, late 70s, early 80s. And, well, there was a boom in the economy. You could tie it to Reagan if you want, but we really know how that works, right? Because everything's interconnected, and economics are no different. And if economics and legislation are like a DNA, what do you call that? The thread that goes back and forth? I can't believe I can't think of it. Looks like a snake. I'm going to kick myself later. But let's kick it a little higher. Let's say, because you couldn't move, and because it was really impeding your lifestyle, there's only one of two things you could do. One of them ain't changing it. So you have to change your attitude towards it. Try to ignore it, I guess. Or you have to change your situation. So what do you do now? If that situation makes its way even closer to your world, and you're saying, what the fuck? I don't like this. This is not what my people were born to do. How do I know? It's been passed down for civilizations. And now it's getting untoward. And we seem to be moving toward something more like an abyss than a peak. And at the end of the day, if we want to get closer to the sun, we've got to get out of our own closets, don't we? As to why people hate America and why we keep shining our shade on them because of how grand we are or compose ourselves, something like that. Oh, my friends, we're not the only ones. Others have decided to play along. And because we don't really worry about the little guys in the homes, eventually they'll buy on. Or they'll catch on. They'll buy stock. They need to make money too. They'll invest in us. We'll own them forever. There's a great interest in having an income stream over time. Is there not, bankers? I'll move on. Don't mean to capitalize on your attention. I know it's fleeting. And kind of like a wave going up and down in a buoy. Tensions rise and come down, or do tides? Well, when the tide starts to rise, where does the water go? Well, wherever it wants to. I'm going to leave this analogy right here. Because after watching 2 hours of simulations of nuclear war, and understanding that nobody wins in a nuclear war, it came to my understanding that, well, why would somebody be willing to lose intentionally if they knew nobody could win? Well, if they believed that someone could win. Nature, eventually, clean itself off of the scourge of man, the germ it cannot scrub, if you believe that's what we are. In some ways, that's what we are. We're a parasite. As a red cardinal fly just flew by. Interesting. What happens when you stop feeding a parasite? ... Look it up. What happens if you stop feeding yourself to stop feeding the parasite? Now I'm getting entangled in an entanglement of many particles in your head of intelligence and ambivalence. You might not give a shit. You think I'm just fucking playing a shell game now with words. I am. But even Terrence Howard knows, eventually, you're going to buy in. You want to play too, especially when there's money on the line. And if you don't give a fuck about money, and you put something else there, you still play, but it's a different outcome that you're looking for. I don't care about your stack. I just don't want you to have one anymore. So you can't go do any more evil and dirty deeds. Kind of getting a little campy now, aren't I? Say it with me. But we can't be way too cautious. But we could be too subtle. And it's in the subtlety that we think, oh, it's just a few people that don't like us, and we need to protect us from them. Well, what happens when people take sides? Well, my Christians and Catholics, there's a lot more of them than there are us, if you look at it that way. And in nature, it's death by numbers. If it came down to that, why should it come down to that? Why can't we play with everyone else? Why can't we keep the neighborhood clean and safe and fun? Everyone could have their own neighborhood or their own home, their own property, and keep it tidy, keep it straight, and work with each other. Nothing like a great block party. And if we could do a few block parties every now and again, maybe everybody will be able to gather and direct their energies to something beautiful and remind ourselves that we all exist in the same space and time. And if we don't solve for space and time, then we just all exist. And that's beautiful if we make it such. And if that existence is together a resonant wave that's so beautiful and pure with love, it produces a beautiful, harmonious tune called Serenity. And, well, where would you play that tune? On the world stage. I'll call that utopia. Yeah, I just did, so we'll move on. Until we figure out why we're vibrating such a low resonance in some places in the world. And we're trying to protect ourselves from the very evil that we're causing. Kind of like the kid that would punch the other kid and then run away. Well, eventually, one of two things is going to happen. He's going to punch back, or someone else will. Because some of us in the neighborhood used to take care of each other. We used to protect each other. Because as great as the neighborhood was, there were cliques with a Q, not cliques with a gun. If we ever needed to stop having fun and settle an argument, it was with fists. And eventually with words. And we would hug it out, dust off, and play on. But if all the strings on the guitar break, the tune changes, doesn't it? And if the guitar gets smashed over someone's head, all the instruments are fucked. And so are the players. And well, ain't no police coming unless you believe in UFOs or something else. So that fight's gonna keep going. And eventually someone's gonna light a fire. And the whole neighborhood's gonna fucking burn down. It might not get every home, but it'll get most of them. Oh boy, ain't no amount of Mr. Clean that's gonna be able to help mom clean that off. Because I've had a dream or two, a nightmare, of this scenario playing out in the real world. I just told you about it. And it's shocking. Yeah, something about a wave. That it comes down to something that words can't explain. Why can't we talk about it? Why don't we just listen? Why are we pointing guns at each other? Not just countries, but people. Everyone just wants to be heard. They need to give off some steam or some energy so they could go back into balance and harmony and feel at peace. Have I got your attention yet? Am I at 11 minutes yet? Oh, I'm past it. Let me end on this. We only get one neighborhood, my friends. So make the most of it. But remember, there are others. And before we even worry about extraterrestrial beings, before we even worry about dealing with the people in the neighborhood, when we go back home, what are we doing with our own families and the people that were within our structures, our homes, literally and metaphorically speaking? How did we treat each other then? Sometimes not well. But we could always lean on some neighbors to help out. And occasionally you'd hear some energy shooting from a window. Yeah, Tommy broke something and he's hiding. And mommy knows where he's hiding it. And eventually she'll get him on some counts. Make him say a few Hail Marys and send him to his room until he's ready to come out. When she tells him to. Because there's no amount of gunfire that's going to stop Tommy from doing it again. Unless Tommy learns his lesson. Who's Tommy? Whoever you put there. Because next to the X is my Y. And if you're stuck at X, you have to get to Y to understand what I just said. Did it hit you in the head yet? No, not like a gunshot. Maybe like a errant basketball shot. Weren't paying attention, Tommy. Remember, look up at the basket when you're trying to rebound the ball. Because if you don't, it's going to hit you in the face. And then you're going to be Zing stars. Peace out. Hey, it's me. What is that thing called? The snaky thing? I want to know. Can we figure it out? Because I'm embarrassed. Okay, bye. Say it with me. It's a double helix. Dude, it's the last time I'm ever going to let you talk in a moment so important. By the way, do you think they're going to get the analogy? Oh, yes. I mean, we totally just winged it. Or did we wing it? Did we win it? Or did we... Shut up. Please. Stop talking. I want to hit 20, and we'll leave it at that. If you mess up, I swear to God, if you push that button again, all hell will break loose. Oh, are you making a comment about the... Oh.